you get those that business starting to flow, and that becomes a challenge. So I hope that the new structure with the new executive team is one that stays around for a while, because it takes us 6 to 12 to 18 months to digest that, to be able to put it in practice and start getting value from it.
I'd like to take a run at that if I can. That's a great question. There's a lot of good things happening. Channel alignment, I think, is stronger than it's ever been. They've certainly repaired and addressed a lot of systemic challenges that they had for 3-4 years there. For us, the largest challenge that remains is the fact that they're still siloed between their services business and their enterprise business. They're two separate businesses. And whether it's policy issues or problem resolution or conflict or any of those things, that still leads to a lot of the headaches that we face day to day.
Yes, from our CALA partners, you want to answer that? Some of the challenges. Everybody must have an opinion about challenges of working with Avaya, right?
Okay. Hi, my name is Manny Rodriguez. I'm with Avnet Technologies. We're the master distributor for Latin America, so we don't do anything in the U.S. Everything south of the border. A couple of questions have been asked. First of all, about selling the complete stack. It varies by country. We have dealers in the Caribbean, in Central America, South America. So depending on the country, we have a great disparity between business partners. We probably deal with about 280 partners. We have some platinum level partners, some gold certified silver partners, and we have a lot of low-end new partners. So depending on the partner, depending on the market, that's how we approach working with them and supporting them. So the sales are going to depend on, basically what the customer requirements are, like you guys were saying. So we have some partners that are very focused selling the complete stack. Others are only very opportunistic, trying to go in and sell whatever they can. I think what you mentioned, as far as things filtering down, if you think it's rough in the U.S., come to our country. I think Avaya has some fantastic products. I think they have some great ideas. It's a lot of good stuff we've heard here, but I think the information takes time to come down. For example, when they asked how many have heard of the Avaya Cloud, I think there was like 3 hands in the room. So I think that kind of information needs to be better filtered down to the business partners and to the entire community. And again, if you guys think it's rough in the U.S., it's even takes longer to us. And the same thing with some of the processes. For example, the Avaya pricing model that's being delayed in the U.S., that creates a lot of problems for us down here because everything they get filtered down. So I think Avaya is a great partner for us. We only sell Avaya in the communication space, in the networking space. We don't compete with Avaya. We're very faithful to Avaya, and we have a very good relationship over the years. But yeah, there are some challenges, and probably that communication is one of the biggest challenges we have.
I think some of our biggest challenges with Avaya is this has been going on for, 3 or 4 years since they've been compressing our margins. And they're treating us, trying to figure, this really comes, I think, from Tom Mitchell and his, I talk about him now. So he came, there's a lot of kind of Cisco thought. This is how they come in, they look at all these business partners are making too much money. And I think really they start picking on the nationals. And then they start changing programs. Well, that affected a lot of the other kind of mid-tier and smaller business partners. They didn't really take that in consideration. If you think about it, if you look at a Cisco bar, the way they make money, they make some money, barely anything, some product, and they really surround their Cisco dealership with services. I think some of you here sell Cisco, right? That's how you do it. Well, with Avaya, not only do they want to compress our margins on product, they also want to go after the professional services and the maintenance. So they want us to make up that margin loss. They got to give in on the professional services and let us build our services practices.
Are they still doing this, or is this something new?
I think that I think the worst is behind us. I think they solidified their financials, and now what we're seeing is them investing more into the Connect program. There's some more dollars being thrown into it. So I'm hoping the worst is behind us, but I'm not sure what the total impact of the one source new pricing's come out. It's supposed to be out on the 20th. I heard, for the most part, our margins are going to remain the same. It's not going to be a huge impact. I think in some areas we may take a hit. But yeah, but when we get into really competitive deals, the special bids desk will, I mean, if you go back 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 21%, 22% margin was kind of the target. Then that drifted down to 17 to 18, now 14 to 15, and now we're down, you know, they're trying to get us, say, 10, 11 maybe okay. It's really hard to run and buy a business partner dealership at 10, 11 points on margin.
How does that compare with other vendors?
Well, other vendors like, for example, with Juniper, for example, probably in the high teens on the margins there. Palo Alto Networks, probably high teens, low 20s. Now, in the SME, I will say on the Avaya SME, the margins are a lot higher, and you're not special bidding that as much. It's probably not as much competition. So the margins on the SME could be high 20s, low 30s if you do it right.
So that's margins. In terms of deployment, is it quicker to deploy? Are you making up your, you know, with engineers on site, are you making up for some of those, that time that you have to invest on site? In other words, margins might be compressed, but in terms of deployment, is it easier to deploy, which means that overall they're equaling out compared to others?
Well, that on SME, that's true. You could deploy those. You could turn those deals quicker. But on the enterprise side, what we found is that the sales cycle has been stretched out pretty far. And now, not only has the sales cycle been stretched out, the project cycle, if you want to have that in after you book the deal and have to implement, that cycle is taking a lot longer too. Because now what we're doing is we're putting in an Avaya solution, and basically we're acting as system integrators, right? We integrate the Avaya environment with their Microsoft Link environment, with the existing Cisco environment. It takes additional skills to do that, and if anything gets stalled in that implementation process, it stalls us out. So it's taking more working capital to basically run an Avaya business partner.
Can you share with us some of the more innovative solutions that you are deploying, or some of the business value that you are bringing to your customers? It's a general question for the partners. I'm just looking, there are some disruptive ideas on the market.
When I speak, I'm speaking strictly in the K-12 education market, and the approach that we take is we enter into a new school district in the United States, and we'll do what we call a technology audit, an overview, and compare their technologies, everything from their servers to their backup to their voice to their wireless, on a scale with 33 different points, and we'll rate them. And then from that rating, we'll compare it to what we know is possible in the industry. We call it, do a little gap analysis. So we do an audit with the school district and then meet with the board and say, here are 33 points of your technology in your district, here's where you're lacking here, here's where you're lacking here, and then a day or two after that board meeting, we'll meet with the business managers and say, okay, let's prioritize these projects. And, you know, backup seems to be the #1 thing in the school district, and then infrastructure and wireless and BYOD. And from our audit, that's how we create projects for the school district, and we also create a timeline with them. So that's our approach.
Good plan.
We actually have two kind of different tactics. Most of our business is done on transactional, more tactical response to needs of a customer. Majority of our business is audio, video, multimedia build out, room, auditoriums, those kinds of things. And video conferencing obviously comes along with that. For those types of opportunities, a salesperson goes in and they meet with the customer and they have relationships and they build what the customer needs. The enterprise side of what we do is where I get involved, where we actually, this is the best thing that we can do for our customers is we provide these consulting services. We actually have a very detailed process to do this. We do what's called a roadmap session, which is a free service. And after that, if the customer agrees with what we've outlined based on some use cases that we've talked about, we go into what's called an architectural design review, which is something we charge for. So this kind of answers the question on some of the Avaya stuff. We had to tell Avaya, please don't give away stuff. We want to charge a customer, and we show more value. We can go into a customer's environment and provide them with the direction and the strategy and define unified communication strategies with them. And we find that when we do that, we can increase our sales by over 300% within those organizations, because it becomes sticky. They see value in you when you charge them for that service. And that approach, again, and that's on our higher-end customers. It's very strategic in nature.
How much do the Avaya AMs get in the way versus help?
Territory teams?
Yeah, I know. I've talked to a lot of resellers, especially when it comes to video. It's really more of a push sell than a pull. And all these guys have quarterly numbers to hit, and sometimes they can fill a deal with more phones and networking gear. That's better for them short term, but works for you long term.
So really quick, I'll just say from our perspective, we just really got that. Yesterday was our 6th regional onboarding session with Avaya for our sales team, so we're new into this. I'm not with Avaya. I worked for Avaya back in 2006 and some other companies, but the account managers in this case, we were very clear as to our relationship, how it was going to work. We identified it in an offer definition that I wrote. So we pretty much laid out, here's how it's going to be. But we also have to respect their process, the things they need to know. They need to make sure that their information is in the systems and all that so they can track revenue. But we've asked them to lay back, we will let you know when we need you. And that's hard for them because they want to be involved in everything, and I respect that. But we know video. That's why Avaya wants us to sell their video products. We got to let us do our jobs.
So the only thing that I'd add to that is that being in the SME mid-market space, they've started to care more about a business partner like us in the last 12 to 18 months. So we're getting more visibility. They're wanting to know more about the deals. Video isn't being brought up in those conversations as much as you would think. Honestly, we're pushing them to Scopia calls more than they are us, which is an interesting phenomenon when dealing with the territory team specifically. When you get up to the ACLs and some of the executive row, they're it's Scopia all day, right? They've kind of drank the Kool-Aid, if you will. But at the field level, they're sending you up conference bridges, constantly, which is just kind of interesting when you think about it. And when they're in customer calls, I mean, they bring it up, but I would say that the partner community is pushing it as much or more than I've seen TAMs out in the field.
I just want to get, there's a few folks that need to leave. Are there any questions you wanted to?
I want to ask a quick one if I can, just of Dan again, just around what you were saying about compression of margin and they're taking the services professional maintenance. What we've heard a lot in this conference is around getting the partners engaged around professional services and maintenance. So are you seeing that as a change in their strategy that will improve that part of the relationship?
Well, they want us to resell their professional services and maintenance, right? That's their push, and they're paying us more to do that. Now, I'm looking at that. They've increased the commission on selling SA Preferred, right? You can hit, I think, 27% commission on that to sell it. Now, are they just setting us up so we just shove all our maintenance to Avaya, and then they reduce it? They're going to boil the frog on us. So I'm a little suspect about that. There's some situations we can't sell our own branded maintenance. We have to sell Avaya because they have existing Avaya maintenance. Rules of engagement come into play.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Yeah, are any of you starting to have a business transformation conversation with customers, or is it, like you had mentioned, it's still pretty transactional? So are you talking business transformation? And also, kind of part two, are you talking to line of business people, or is it still IT? And if you do try to talk to line of business people, does IT act as the gatekeeper and not really let you?
I'll throw something out for that one. And it ties in actually to a little bit to the previous question. For us, okay, so our company is Platinum dealer, we're Canadian. And we're Avaya-centric, it's our core business, but it's not exclusively. We also are a systems integrator in many contexts. The secret for us is all about being vertical. Sounds a little sales 101, but everything we do, for the most part, as far as demand generation and our sales activities, wraps around vertical solutions. that address specific needs that are common to a market segment, and we've been very, very successful with that. And we talk a lot now to the line of business leaders. The money's there. The money's not in IT anymore. I grew up in a world where the IT folks had all the money and made all the decisions, and now their job seems to be more and more to execute on what the business leaders are trying to do to manage the business. So you got to have those discussions with them, and that's how we've been successful doing that. And that's also the opportunity to differentiate, because it has to really address those specific business drivers.
Are there specific verticals, or you going?
Yeah, there's some examples. Healthcare is a good one, and that's a broad definition because that would also include what I'd call retirement living, and there's a lot of money there. So that's a good one. We do a lot of work with retail. In Canada, the economy is very, very good, and there's an invasion of retailers coming in from the United States, for example. So yeah, you can't be all things to all people, but you can be all things to a market segment, and you can get really good at that and be different than everyone else around you. Then you've got a great conversation to have with the business leaders.
Yeah, we did this with those guys.
Yeah.
So how do you have that conversation then? If you're talking less to IT people and more line of business managers, do you have to kind of, maybe dumb down the conversation, or I mean, you're having, I would imagine most of the conversations are with non-IT people, so how do you,
They are.
how do you sell?
So I sort of chuckle because of a conversation I had yesterday with someone from Avaya about, and we learned all, we learned about IP Office and the latest and greatest there and Aura, and more, the business leaders, they don't care. They don't care what the box is. They care about the applications and the solutions that you're delivering to address their pain points or what their opportunities are for their customers and driving their business. So all those discussions are around that. This is what we can do for your people. This is what we can do for your customers. They're all business discussions. And they'll care about the investments and the business case issues and all of that, but they really don't care what's in that back room. Sooner or later, you have to engage IT because they have to execute. And they want to make sure that you're not going to do anything scary to their networks or broach their security or any of that stuff, right?
Is there a clash then? When you do get IT involved, is there,
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes, no. It depends a lot around the dynamics within the customer organization. You can get one or the other. It's like the old, if you go back 7 or 8 years when you had the voice and the data groups, and sometimes they played nice in the sandbox, and sometimes they didn't. It's kind of like that.
So how would cloud affect you there? Because I should imagine, that sort of try before you buy, or we've heard other vendors that have been very successful selling conferencing services around IT departments. So you get sales directors deciding to have a conference call, weekly conference call, or what have you, and using the company credit card. I mean, do you see cloud services complementary? Is it competitive? Are you considering cloud services yourself to bring to the portfolio?
The answer to the last question is yes, we are.
Yeah.
It would be remiss so we're working hard on our cloud strategy. We have a practice leader in place. Mostly complementary. It's another delivery method. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether it's IP, if it's 20 years old and it's digital, it doesn't matter if it's cloud delivered. It's all about what happens to the business. So yeah, complementary. It's just, actually what cloud does is it offers a different discussion to, it's a money discussion. You can offer the advantages of being nimble and be able to react quickly within your business and do those things. You can light things up and you can turn them off, and you guys, I'm sure, are really familiar with all of that. So that's a good value proposition, but then it's a whole different monetary model as far as how you're investing in it. Again, all of those things are business discussions. Again, the care that's coming from the cloud.
For those of you who sell contact center, for the IP office, let's talk